In this video, we're going to go beyond drawing lines and actually start learning how to draw some other shapes. It's about time, right? Well, in this video, we're going to focus on the arc, which is basically a curved line. Now, in the new drawing, we're going to type units, and we're going to change the units from decimal to architectural. Hit OK. Now we are all set. So to draw an arc, go either to the Home tab into the Draw panel and choose the Command button for arc, or we can also type arc to start the command. Now the arc that you begin with is called the 3-point arc. That's the default arc, and the little instruction panel shows you that when you click the first time you're starting the arc, the second time you're doing the peak of the arc, and the third time is the end of the arc. Now I'm going to click on this little drop down menu just to show you there's a lot of different ways to draw arcs, which seems kind of silly, but the goal in CAD is to draw as quickly and efficiently as possible, and there might be some circumstances that you might need to draw an arc a certain way. And I'm just going to show you a couple of these. I don't imagine that you'll use all of them, but a couple of them might be good just to kind of show you what CAD can do. So let's start with the 3-point arc. So like the little instruction panel said, the first click starts the arc, just as the command asks for. And you'll notice that it looks like a dashed line. It doesn't really look like an arc, but that's just the way the CAD behavior is. And what my cursor is saying is specify the second point of the arc. Remember that the second point of the arc is what determines the height or the peak of the arc. Click, and you'll notice that as soon as I do that, the arc is attached to my cursor, and the last click is going to end it. So let's do that again. Let's do the arc command, and we're going to specify the starting point of the arc. The next point is the peak of the arc. Let's go below this time. And the third click is going to be to end the arc. And actually, let's do something like this right here. Perfect. Not too terrible, right? Now, something that happens when you first start to learn CAD that you kind of have to let go of is a lot of people want to place the arc perfectly the first time, and in all actuality, that kind of works against you. Arcs are much easier if you put them in first and then manipulate them afterwards. So I'm going to select that arc, and I'm going to show you if I click on the grips. The middle grip determines what the height is going to be. I can make it as big or as shallow as I want to. And then of course the end grips are similar to lines. I just click on it and it will move those end grips in any direction that I want to. Now sometimes it does get a little crazy if you start making things too big and depending on where your cursor is. So now might be a good time to pause the video and practice drawing 3-point arcs, and also practice selecting them and working with the grips a little bit so that you can understand how it behaves. And moving on to the next arc on our list, we're going to do the start, center, end arc. And if we look at the instructions, it says that the first click obviously is to start the end of the arc. The second one actually determines the radius, so it kind of goes to the center point of that arc. And then the third click is going to end the arc. So let's practice this one. Cursor says start or specify the point of the arc. Now I'm going to specify the center point of the arc. We're going to click here, and AutoCAD automatically creates the other end. What's kind of cool about this arc is that we don't have to just create a half circle like we did on the other arcs. We can actually create an arc that's a little bit smaller if we want to, or we can create one that's bigger. Now I don't want to go all the way to a circle. Obviously it's not going to allow me to do that. There is actually a circle command that we can use, but if we wanted to create any kind of arc, we can go ahead and do it by just clicking on the third point. So again, the start, center, end arc, specify your first point, specify the center of that arc, and then you can go ahead and put the other half of the arc in as you need to. So I say go ahead and pause the video and get a practice of what it's like to work with the start, center, end arc. Get a little practice, understand its behavior, and we'll keep moving on. All right, I'm going to go ahead and delete all the arcs that I've drawn. The last one we're going to look at is the center start end arc. And this one's kind of cool because instead of actually starting with the end of an arc, we're going to start with the center point like you saw in that last one. So I'm going to click randomly on my screen. My cursor says specify center point of arc. Then it wants to know, well, where do you want to start this next arc? Like, where do you want the first point to be? Let's start it right here. Excellent. And as I move my cursor, you'll see that it actually draws the arc in as I want it to. So I can actually create something kind of like that. So again, it's kind of nice because AutoCAD automatically puts the arc that you last worked with up here on the icon. So center, where's the end of that arc? And how do I want that arc drawn? Now just to demonstrate why and how you would use this, let's draw a 6-inch box. I'm going to draw it right here. 6 inches, 6 inches, 6 inches, and down, escape. Now maybe I want to put an arc on the end of this box, and so this particular arc would be great because I can click on it, find the midpoint of the box on the top, make sure that your O snaps are turned on and that your midpoint is checked. So I'm going to put the arc starting there, start over here, and work my way to the left. Remember that to draw the arc, it's usually counterclockwise type motion, and then I'm going to click, and there I have a little silo or something like that. I could even take this out and it looks like a really long chair in plan view. Now go ahead and pause the video, practice this archetype, the center start end, and also take a look at the other arcs available to you that you can draw with. And I'm not going to show all of them to you because there's just slight variations based off of the 3 arcs I just demonstrated, and you most likely won't draw with all of these arcs. But by practicing and knowing and understanding how to draw arcs, you know all the options that are available to you as a result. I'm going to go ahead and erase all of these. And the last thing I want to show you is when you're joining arcs together. There's going to be times where you need to join them together to create different shapes, and sometimes you want them to transition smoothly between each other, and it's not always that easy to do. It can be a little complicated for beginners. So I just kind of want to show you how to work with arcs as you need to so that you can get the shapes and things that you need from it. And so I'm just going to use the 3-point arc. That's the one I'm the most familiar with. And I'm going to draw a couple arcs. The first one I'm going to go below. And I'm going to right click and hit repeat arc. Click, click, and click. So let's say that I want these 2 arcs to kind of come together. So I'm just going to grab one of these and put it over. And just to kind of demonstrate this a little bit, I'll shrink one of them and hit escape. You see the point where they connect, it doesn't really have that great a flow to it. And maybe I want it to be a little bit more smooth, like how a snake would be instead of like a broken snake. I hate broken snakes. So let's grab the 2 arcs so that you've got them both selected, and you just really manipulate the grips so that they kind of come together like that. Let's see what that looks like. It's okay, but it's still a little choppy. Now I can grab both of them, and at the point that they connect I can kind of work with it a little bit and see if I can get the shape that I want. Hey, that looks pretty smooth. So I can really, as I'm moving and manipulating, I can either get a broken snake or a smooth snake, and it's really just about kind of playing with the heights of arcs, the location of the ends, and just seeing how you can get them to smooth out a little bit. There we go. Now this takes practice. It takes a little thought of how to smooth out and transition the 2, but with a couple of grip manipulations I'm seeing a much smoother transition. And you can work with grips on one arc or both arcs. With both arcs selected, you can manipulate the arc that connects the 2 together. There's lots of different variations that you can kind of work with. So we're at the end of the video. Go ahead and practice maneuvering the arcs around so you can understand their behavior a little better, connect them together, play with the grips, and see how you can get broken snakes as well as smooth snakes. Otherwise, for this video, what you learned is how to draw an arc, how to manipulate them a little, and how to draw them using different techniques.